Okay, take a really close look at this highly detailed cinematic shot of a bespectacled cat in a robe casually smoking a pipe while reading the Sunday newspaper. It looks fantastic, right? But here's the million-dollar question. If you sat down at your computer, came up with the idea for this exact image, and typed the text prompt into an AI generator to create it, do you legally own it? Are you the actual author?
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are going to completely demystify the legal and ethical boundaries of generative AI. Because let's face it, there is a lot of confusion out there about who owns what and what crosses the line from just a helpful tool into outright plagiarism. So, by looking at a brand new, highly detailed federal report from the United States Copyright Office, alongside some really strict academic guidelines from the University of Geneva, we're going to map out exactly where human creativity ends and machine generation begins.
Okay, let's dive straight into this. Here is our roadmap. First, we'll cover the human authorship rule. Second, the illusion of prompting. Third, expressive inputs and ownership. And finally, AI plagiarism versus fraud.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the human authorship rule.
You know, it's really tempting to think that AI has just completely broken our legal system, but as it turns out, the rules governing this cutting-edge technology actually have roots in much, much older tech. This timeline proves the core requirement of human authorship has definitely been tested before. Back in 1884, people literally argued a photograph couldn't be copyrighted because a machine, the camera, did all the work. But the Supreme Court ruled that the photographer's human choices, like the posing, the lighting, the angles, that made them the author. Fast forward to 1997, courts rejected copyright for text supposedly authored by, quote, divine spiritual beings. Then in 2016, we had that famous monkey selfie case. A court ruled that an animal taking a picture of itself gets zero copyright. And all of that directly sets the stage for 2023, where courts formally rejected copyright for pure AI generation. The machine is honestly just the newest test of a very old rule.
Which brings us to this definitive quote from the 2023 U.S. District Court ruling. They stated unequivocally, "Copyright law protects only works of human creation. Human authorship is a bedrock requirement." The court basically found that copyright has never stretched so far as to protect works generated by new technology operating without any guiding human hand. So pure machine generation is, legally speaking, entirely unprotectable.
Moving on to Section 2, the illusion of prompting.
Now, what's really interesting about this is it reveals a massive misconception. So many people believe that if they just write a complex enough set of instructions, they become the master and the machine is just their brush. Take a look at the actual text used to generate that cat image we saw at the start. The user typed, "professional photo, bespectacled cat in a robe reading the Sunday newspaper and smoking a pipe, foggy, wet, stormy, highly detailed wood, cinematic lighting, intricate, sharp focus," and it just goes on. It's incredibly specific. It really feels like giving detailed instructions to a commissioned artist.
But consider that specific image again for a second. The U.S. Copyright Office points out that the AI is actually a black box that interprets your prompt in totally unpredictable ways. Notice how the prompt never specified the cat's breed, it never mentioned the color of its fur, it specifically asked for a highly detailed wood environment, which the AI completely ignored. And, probably most hilariously, look down at the bottom left corner, holding the newspaper, the AI literally hallucinated an incongruous human hand. The prompter didn't ask for that. The machine just made it up. And that perfectly illustrates the lack of control argument that legally disqualifies prompts from being authorship. Because AI systems are black boxes, if you type that exact same cat prompt again, you are going to get a completely different cat. Some models even automatically rewrite your prompts behind the scenes just to optimize them. Now, sure, some users claim they're the author because they adopt the output they like best after generating hundreds of variations. But legally, repeatedly rolling the dice until you get a result you like does not make you the creator of that result. You're merely conveying unprotectable ideas.
The Copyright Office report included this brilliant analogy from Professor Daniel Gervais. He says, "If I walk into a gallery looking for an elephant at sunset, I may find a painting that fits my idea. That in no way makes me an author." I mean, that hits the nail on the head. That is exactly what you're doing when you generate AI art or text from a prompt. You're just browsing a gallery of infinite algorithmic possibilities until you find one that matches the idea in your head.
All right, Section 3, expressive inputs and ownership.
So if prompts don't give you ownership, what actually does? Well, look at this simple, hand-drawn sketch of a face mask with some flowers sprouting out of it. Because this was genuinely created by a human, this is what the Copyright Office calls an expressive input. It's not just a text idea, it's a tangible piece of human expression.
And this brilliantly illustrates the workaround. If you use a generative AI system that lets you upload that sketch and use it as a foundation, you completely change the game. Step 1, you create that human-authored expressive input. Step 2, you feed it into the AI and prompt it to maybe add photorealism or cinematic lighting. Step 3, the final output comes out. Now here's the magic trick. Because the outline of your original hand-drawn mask, the placement of the nose, and the arrangement of the flowers are still perceptible in the final AI-generated image, you actually retain copyright over those specific elements. You do have to disclaim the non-human parts, like the AI's rendering of the 3D lighting, but the foundational, human expression remains yours. You materially constrain the machine.
Which takes us to our final section, AI plagiarism versus fraud.
This exact same concept, this lack of human control over pure AI generation, is actively rewriting the ethical rulebooks in academia and the sciences right now. The University of Geneva's Faculty of Science recently released a very strict directive on this. Their definition of plagiarism is presenting the work or ideas of others as one's own without mentioning the source. Because we've already established that the AI is acting as the author of the expression when you simply prompt it, taking that AI-generated text and pasting it into your essay without declaring it is, by definition, presenting a non-human author's work as your own. It is plagiarism, plain and simple.
But, and this is absolutely crucial, Unage draws a really sharp, important line between plagiarism and fraud. Fraud is defined as intentional deception aimed at obtaining an unfair advantage. You see, plagiarism might just be failing to cite an AI translation tool. Fraud elevates the offense. It involves a deliberate intent to deceive your audience, your professor, or a scientific journal just to get credit, a grade, or funding.
Take a look at this matrix from their guidelines. It's incredibly practical. Let's break it down real quick. Using AI for part of your work without declaring it? Okay, that's plagiarism. It's a misrepresentation of origin, but not necessarily fraud. However, what if you use an AI tool to invent scientific data? No way. That is outright fraud. You are actively deceiving the scientific community about your results. Conversely, what if you write your own essay, but you use AI just to correct your grammar, and you openly declare it? That is neither plagiarism nor fraud. It's a transparent, assistive use of the tool, very much like a photographer using a camera.
So the crucial point to take away from all of this is that every single time you open up an AI tool, invisible rules are governing your keystrokes. Here are your modern rules of engagement. Number 1, you do not own pure prompts because ideas are not authorship. Number 2, expressive human-made inputs grant you partial control and partial ownership. Number 3, in academia and professional work, transparency avoids plagiarism. And number 4, intentional deception constitutes fraud.
We are living through a massive transition in what it actually means to be a creator. Right now, the law says the machine is a black box that we just can't fully control. But technology moves incredibly fast. So I want to leave you with this final thought. As future AI tools are developed to give us direct, exact control over every single generated pixel and every specific syllable, will the line between the human author and the machine completely disappear? And if it does, how will we ever know who created what? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this sparked your curiosity. Catch you next time.